These are some of the sketches that Nico did, just so we can get a good basic feel of what direction we wanted to go in. And from the sketches we went on to the maquette, which you saw on the video prior to, or which you saw prior to. Basically just a nice little design. It's not exact because we wanted to get just a feeling for it, which led into the full-size sculpture, this mock-up right here. What this is it's made out of wet clay, which is right in here. The reason why we have it locked up in this bag is because it's water-based and it dries up pretty quickly. So that's why we have a bottle of water right here. We just kind of squirt it down a bit so it doesn't dry out on us and crack and kind of, you know, ruin everything. We have to redo it all. There's another type of clay that you can use, which is this oil-based clay. It's a little bit harder, but this stuff won't dry out on you. It's pretty much, you can, you know, crack it open, start sculpting on it, and walk away for a few years and come back to it, and you won't have any problems with it. They're both not the safest thing to use, but it's not too crazy. The biggest difference between the two is wet clay is better if you just kind of want to throw something together really fast, build it up really quick, and also since it is water-based, it's easier just to clean it up, smooth it out, whereas the oil-based clay, if you want to do that, you'd have to use 99% alcohol, which, you know, makes it kind of smell a little bit bad. But there's nothing wrong between the two, you know, some preference one or the other. As we were talking about how this is on my head cast, what a head cast is it's basically a form of your head. This is a head cast of one of our group members who's actually going to be the Wicked Witch. The way you get to this point is seat him down in a chair, you pour alginate all over them so it gets a nice imprint of their face. It's going to get a good negative. And then what you do is you put plaster bandages and wrap over that. So what that does is it helps keep the form. So when you pry it apart and you cut a slit up the back so the actor can get out of it, when you close it all back up and you pour Hydrocal or Ultracal into it, what you're going to get is a nice rigid form like this. This is not Hydrocal or Ultracal, it's just, you know, hard foam. It's a little bit easier to transport, take around through you. As you can see, it's really lightweight. Whereas this quarter bust right here, this one's more for maquettes, so you just get like a good basic feeling for it. As you can see, there's a size comparison. You're not going to be wearing anything off of this. This is just to get the idea. Whereas this is going to produce a full-size wearable mask. You can also do just a half face, which would be something like this right here. And what the half face is used for is it's just a little bit easier to manipulate, and you can also do more of just facial prosthetics if you want to have like the half mask onto it or just a prosthetic. You can also do prosthetics on the full cast, but if you only need the front of the face, it's much easier to have something that's smaller, more easier to manipulate. And that's going to lead us into the harsher chemicals.
Yeah, so from the head cast and the sculpt, after you've done the sculpt, you want to mold it. After you've done the mold, you can pour up as many as you can afford to. The mold is the negative of the sculpture. The mold is very important because if the mold is messed up, every pull you will do will be messed up. The mold is also a very scary thing to do because if you ruin the mold, that's it. The mold will always destroy the sculpture, unless it's a silicone and it's technical. There's a lot of stuff, and it's also, as Dom mentioned, it's very toxic. Nothing that we touch here is safe. I'm sure the cameraman here has cancer from being here these few minutes. So I'm going to talk about molds for a little bit. Here are just a few of the chemicals we use. We do a lot of fiberglass molds here. We graduated from plaster into fiberglass. They're lightweight, they're durable. If you drop them, they're fine, and they just last longer. They're easier to use once you know how to use it. So we use fiberglass mat like this. Fiberglass is not fun. It's itchy and it's sharp when it dries. You coat it with laminating resin. We use laminating resin. Here is the catalyst for it. Gloves, which are a must. We don't have, you know, the other precautionary things such as glasses and respirators, which we should always use. We use Bondo, baby powder, Vaseline, acetone to clean, crystal clear to seal the sculpt, and a variety of other things. This is just a few of the things that we use. After we do the sculpt, you end up with a mold. as you can see, it resembles something of the original sculpture. This was a goat that we did. You sculpt it, you mold it. This is a two-part mold, so it separates because there's lockups and things like that we won't get into right now. But as you can see, if you look inside, there is the negative of the sculpture. So if you look inside, you can see it there. As in here, what you do is you put them together, clamp it, and you can brush in latex. You can do foam, which is right here. Virtually anything you want. Here is another one that is clamped together, and this is another two-part mold, and this was of a Batman sculpture that we did for Comic-Con this year. And here is latex you pour in, and here's a quick, very rough, dirty test pull of a vampire face that was sculpted on a generic head cast that could be either used as an appliance that could be glued onto a face, or they can be turned into a mask. And so as you see over here, just fits on. It wasn't custom made to her face, so it'll line up, but so are the ones you buy in the store. But it's an example like that. Here we have a little mouth application, just latex, some of the clay here. This was for a party that we went to for a night in Riverside. And then, okay, so here's the Batman mold, and up here is what we pulled out of the mold. This is a full latex mask that is actually made to fit my head. It was used for Comic-Con. Here are the other parts. This is not the whole suit, it's just meant to hold the suit, such as the cape, these custom pieces we made, as well as the custom belt. And then over there is the goat head, which you guys saw the mold. So that is what comes out after the mold. You paint it, do what you want with it. This is simple latex. It's hollow. Of course you can't wear it, you can't see out of it. There's no nose holes, nowhere to breathe. But these are just to display some of the costumes that we've done in the past, whether they're for haunts or independent films, student films, what have you. And that's something of the process that we'll be doing with the Scarecrow. So eventually the Scarecrow will be in this medium. So it goes from picture, maquette, full-size sculpt, fiberglass mold, latex, finished piece, finished marble piece. And that's a bit of what we'll be doing here with your help. Thanks. Get the hell away from me.